Amelia Wright sat in the waiting room of Blackwood Industries, her hands trembling slightly as she clutched her worn leather portfolio. At 27, she had never imagined she would be here, applying for a position that had become infamous in the city's employment circles. The job posting had been simple enough: executive secretary to the CEO. The salary was extraordinary. The catch was that nobody lasted more than 3 weeks. The receptionist, a kind woman named Rebecca with silver streaks in her dark hair, gave Amelia a sympathetic smile. "You're braver than most," she said quietly. "Are you sure about this?" Amelia thought of her younger sister, Sophie, who had just been accepted to medical school. She thought of the stack of bills on their tiny apartment counter and the notice from their landlord about next month's rent. "I need this job," she said simply. Rebecca nodded with understanding. "Mr. Blackwood will see you now. 5th floor, corner office. And honey, whatever happens in there, don't take it personally. He's difficult with everyone." Good start. "I need to continue with Amelia meeting Julian, establishing his character, the coffee incident, and building their initial dynamic. I need to reach 1,300 words for this part." The elevator ride felt like an eternity. Amelia checked her reflection in the polished doors, smoothing down her simple navy dress. It was the nicest thing she owned, purchased years ago for her college graduation. She took a deep breath as the doors opened. The 5th floor was breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city's skyline, and everything gleamed with expensive sophistication. Amelia walked down the corridor, her modest heels clicking against the marble floor, till she reached a set of imposing double doors. She knocked twice. "Enter," came a deep voice from within. Amelia pushed open the door and stepped into the largest office she had ever seen. Behind an enormous mahogany desk sat Julian Blackwood, and he was nothing like she expected. The rumors painted him as some cruel tyrant, but the man before her was young, perhaps 35, with dark hair and intense gray eyes that seemed to see right through her. He wore an impeccably tailored charcoal suit, and his presence filled the entire room. "Miss Wright," he said, without looking up from his computer. "You're 3 minutes early. I appreciate punctuality, but I value precision more. Next time, arrive exactly on time." Amelia blinked. "I'll remember that, Mr. Blackwood. Sit." He gestured to the chair across from his desk. "You've read the job description? You understand that this position requires excellence. Not effort, not trying your best. Excellence. Do you believe you're capable of that?" She met his gaze steadily. "I believe I'm capable of learning what you need and delivering it consistently." For the first time, Julian looked directly at her. His expression was unreadable. "Interesting answer. Most people promise me perfection immediately. You're honest enough to admit you'll need time to learn." He leaned back in his chair. "You're hired. Start tomorrow, 7 in the morning sharp. Your desk is outside this office. Rebecca will show you." Amelia's heart soared. "Thank you, Mr. Blackwood. I won't disappoint you. We'll see," he said, already turning back to his computer. "That will be all." The next morning, Amelia arrived at exactly 7 o'clock. Her desk was positioned directly outside Julian's office, with a clear view through the glass walls. She could see him already working, his attention fixed on multiple monitors. Rebecca appeared with a gentle smile. "Survived the interview, I see. Let me show you the systems." For the next hour, Rebecca walked Amelia through the complex scheduling software, filing system, and the dozens of protocols Julian demanded. "The most important thing," Rebecca said seriously, "is his coffee. Black, no sugar, precise temperature. The machine is in the break room. He expects it on his desk at 7:30 every morning." Amelia nodded, committing everything to memory. When Rebecca left, she headed to the break room to prepare Julian's coffee. The machine was state-of-the-art and intimidating. She carefully followed the instructions, checking the temperature gauge 3 times before pouring the coffee into an elegant ceramic cup. She walked back to Julian's office, balancing the cup carefully. She knocked on the glass door. "Come in." Amelia pushed the door open with her hip, her eyes on the coffee to ensure it didn't spill. "Your coffee, Mr. Blackwood? Just set it on the desk." She stepped forward, and that was when disaster struck. Her heel caught on the edge of the expensive Persian rug. Amelia stumbled and the coffee flew from her hands in a graceful arc. It landed directly on a stack of contracts spread across Julian's desk, the dark liquid seeping into the white papers. Horror washed over her. Oh no. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Julian stood abruptly, staring at the ruined documents. These were contracts for a merger worth millions. Amelia could see the signatures, the official seals, all now stained with coffee. "I'll fix this," she said quickly, grabbing tissues from the desk and trying to blot the papers. "I can reprint them, or we can stop." Julian's voice was quiet, which somehow felt more dangerous than yelling. "Step away from the desk." Amelia froze, tears threatening to fall. This was it. She had lasted less than one day. Sophie's tuition, their rent, everything came crashing down around her. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Blackwood. It was an accident. The rug. I caught my heel, but that's no excuse. I take full responsibility." She straightened her shoulders and looked him in the eye. "I understand if you need to fire me. But please know that I would have given this job everything I had." Julian studied her for a long moment. His expression was impossible to read. Then, unexpectedly, he pressed a button on his phone. "Rebecca, send someone to print new copies of the Morrison contracts. Original files are in the system." He looked back at Amelia. "Accidents happen. What matters is how you respond. You took responsibility immediately. You didn't make excuses about the rug or blame the coffee machine. That shows character." He sat back down. "Clean this up, then bring me my schedule for the day. And Miss Wright, from now on, I'll get my own coffee." Amelia couldn't believe what she was hearing. "You're not firing me?" "Should I be?" "No, sir." "Thank you, sir." A hint of something that might have been amusement crossed his face. "We'll see if you still want to thank me after a week. Now, the schedule, please." Over the following days, Amelia threw herself into learning everything about Julian's preferences and routines. She discovered he arrived at 6 every morning and rarely left before 9 at night. He took his lunch at his desk, usually just a sandwich he barely touched. He was demanding but fair, harsh but never cruel. When she made mistakes, he corrected her sharply, but always explained what she should have done instead. By the end of her first week, Amelia noticed something others might have missed. Julian never went home to rest. He lived in his office, drowning himself in work. She began to wonder what he was running from. One evening, she stayed late to finish organizing files. She thought Julian had left for once, but when she walked past his office, she saw him standing at the window, staring out at the city lights. He looked tired and lonely and human in a way she had never seen before. On impulse, Amelia grabbed a notepad and wrote, "You're doing an amazing job. Don't forget to rest. The company needs you healthy." She left it on his desk and quietly left the building. The next morning, the note was gone. Julian didn't mention it, but Amelia noticed he left the office at 8 that evening instead of his usual 9 or 10. And so it began. 3 weeks passed and Amelia was still employed. The office had started taking bets on when she would quit or be fired, but she showed no signs of leaving. She had learned to anticipate Julian's needs before he voiced them, to organize his chaotic schedule into something manageable, and to stand her ground when he was being unreasonable. Their relationship had evolved into something unexpected. They bantered during the day, challenged each other's ideas, and somewhere along the way, Amelia realized she looked forward to seeing him every morning. The way his eyes lit up when she brought him solutions instead of problems. The rare smile that transformed his stern face into something beautiful. She was falling for her boss, and that terrified her. One Monday morning, Rebecca appeared at Amelia's desk with an odd expression. "There's someone here to see Mr. Blackwood. She doesn't have an appointment, but she insists he'll want to see her." Amelia looked up to see a stunning woman in a designer suit striding down the hallway. She had platinum blonde hair, perfect makeup, and the kind of confidence that came from old money. She walked past Amelia without a glance and knocked on Julian's door before entering. Through the glass walls, Amelia watched Julian's face transform. First shock, then something harder, more guarded. He stood, and the woman kissed his cheek. They talked for nearly an hour while Amelia tried to focus on work and failed miserably. When the woman finally left, she paused at Amelia's desk. "You must be the new secretary. I'm Vanessa Sterling. Julian and I go way back." Her smile was cold. "Tell me, how long have you lasted?" 3 weeks? Impressive. Most don't make it past 2. Amelia kept her voice professional. "Is there anything else I can help you with, Miss Sterling?" "No, dear. I'll be seeing plenty of Julian in the coming weeks. We have much to discuss." Vanessa walked away, her heels clicking against the floor. Julian called Amelia into his office an hour later. He looked exhausted, rubbing his temples. "I suppose you're wondering who that was?" "It's none of my business, Mr. Blackwood." "Julian," he corrected quietly. "When we're alone, call me Julian. And it is your business, because she'll be coming here frequently. Vanessa was my business partner 5 years ago. We were also engaged." Amelia's stomach dropped, but she kept her expression neutral. "I see. We were building this company together," Julian continued, staring out the window. "I trusted her completely. Then I discovered she was selling our proprietary designs to our biggest competitor. When I confronted her, she admitted everything. Said I was too idealistic, that business required compromise. She had been betraying me for over a year, both professionally and personally. She was having an affair with the competitor's CEO. "I'm sorry," Amelia said softly. "That must have been devastating." Julian turned to face her. "I bought her out, rebuilt everything from scratch. It took years to recover the company's reputation. I swore I'd never let anyone close enough to hurt me again. And now she's back, wanting to merge her new company with mine. Her business is struggling, and she knows Blackwood Industries is strong. What did you tell her?" "That I'd consider it. Strictly business. Nothing personal. But I need you to know this might get complicated." Over the next 2 weeks, Vanessa became a constant presence in the office. She scheduled meetings, brought lunch for Julian, and made it clear she wanted more than just a business relationship. Amelia watched it all with a growing ache in her chest. One afternoon, Julian appeared at her desk. "I need a favor, of course. There's a charity gala this Saturday. I need a date. Someone who can handle Vanessa's inevitable presence and help me maintain professional boundaries." He paused. "Would you come with me?" Amelia's heart raced. "As your date?" "As my secretary attending a business function," he said carefully. But something in his eyes suggested more. "I'll have a dress sent to your apartment. Please say yes." "Yes," she whispered. Saturday arrived too quickly. The dress that was delivered took Amelia's breath away. It was a deep emerald gown that hugged her curves elegantly, with delicate beading that caught the light. When Julian picked her up, the look on his face made every nervous moment worth it. "You look stunning," he said, helping her into his car. The gala was held in a historic mansion filled with the city's elite. Amelia felt out of place among the diamonds and designer labels, but Julian never left her side. His hand rested on her lower back as he introduced her to business associates and old friends. Then Vanessa appeared, wearing a white gown that probably cost more than Amelia's yearly salary. "Julian, darling, and you brought your secretary. How quaint." "Vanessa," Julian said coolly. Vanessa smiled at Amelia with false sweetness. "I hope you're enjoying yourself, dear. Though I can't imagine what you have in common with any of these people. Where did you go to school again?" "State University," Amelia said proudly. "How lovely. And what does your family do?" Julian's hand tightened on Amelia's back. "Vanessa, that's enough. I'm just making conversation, Julian. No need to be sensitive." Vanessa turned to a nearby group. "Everyone, this is Julian's secretary. Isn't it sweet that he brought her to experience how the other half lives?" Several people laughed uncomfortably. Amelia felt her face burn with humiliation. She started to pull away, ready to leave, but Julian's grip on her hand stopped her. "You want to know what Amelia's family does?" Julian's voice carried across the room. "Her parents died in a car accident when she was 19, leaving her to raise her younger sister alone. She worked 3 jobs while finishing college. She's putting her sister through medical school while managing to be the best secretary I've ever had. She's smart, kind, honest, and worth 10% of anyone in this room, including you, Vanessa." The room had gone silent. Vanessa's face flushed red. Julian turned to Amelia, his eyes intense. And I didn't bring her here as my secretary. I brought her because she's the only person I want to spend time with. Because somewhere in the past month, she became the most important person in my life. Because I'm falling in love with her. Amelia's world stopped. Julian. He led her out to the garden, away from the staring crowd. Under the moonlight and strings of fairy lights, he cupped her face in his hands. I know this is complicated. I'm your boss, and there are rules and protocols. But I can't pretend anymore. These past weeks with you have been the happiest I've had in years. You make me want to be better, to open up, to trust again. I feel the same way, Amelia admitted, tears in her eyes. I tried not to, but I couldn't help it. Julian kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of promise. Amelia melted into him, feeling like she had finally found where she belonged. They stayed in the garden for a long time, talking about everything and nothing. But when they returned to the gala, Vanessa was gone. The following Monday, Amelia arrived early to find an envelope on her desk. Inside were printed emails between Vanessa and a competitor, discussing ways to sabotage Julian's upcoming product launch. There were plans to steal designs, poach key employees, and spread false rumors about Blackwood Industries' financial stability. Amelia's hands shook as she read through everything. Vanessa was trying to destroy Julian's company from the inside. The merger talks were just a cover to get access to confidential information. She sat at her desk, staring at the evidence. She should tell Julian immediately. But something made her hesitate. What if confronting Vanessa directly could get more information? What if there was a way to stop this without putting Julian through another betrayal? Amelia made a decision. She picked up her phone and sent a text to the number on Vanessa's business card. We need to talk today. Just you and me. The response came quickly. My office. 2 o'clock. Come alone. Amelia took a deep breath. This was either very brave or very stupid. She suspected it was both. Amelia stood outside Vanessa's office building at exactly 2 o'clock. The structure was sleek and modern, all glass and steel, but it lacked the warmth of Blackwood Industries. She took a deep breath and walked inside. Vanessa's secretary led her to a corner office. Vanessa sat behind her desk, perfectly composed. Well, the little secretary has some backbone after all. Sit down. Amelia remained standing. I know what you're doing. The merger is fake. You're trying to sabotage Julian's company. Vanessa's smile didn't waver. Prove it. I have the emails. The communication with his competitors. Everything. You came here instead of running to Julian because you want something. What is it, money? I can write you a check right now. Name your price. Amelia felt disgust rise in her throat. I don't want your money. Then what? A recommendation letter. A position at another company? Vanessa stood, circling her desk. Or maybe you think you can save him by yourself. Play the hero and make him fall even more in love with you. How romantic. Why are you doing this? You've already betrayed him once. Why come back and hurt him again? Vanessa's perfect facade cracked. Because he was supposed to fail without me. He was supposed to come crawling back, begging for my help. Instead, he built an empire. He became more successful than I ever was. And now he's happy with some nobody who can't even afford a decent dress without his charity. This isn't about business at all, Amelia realized. You're jealous of you? Please. But Vanessa's voice shook slightly. You had everything with Julian, and you threw it away. Now you can't stand that he's moved on and found someone who actually cares about him. Vanessa's eyes flashed with anger. You think you know him? You've worked for him for a month. I built a company with him. I know every one of his secrets, his weaknesses, his fears. You're just a distraction, sweetie. Eventually he'll realize you're not enough. Amelia felt the words cut deep, hitting on every insecurity she had. But then she thought of Julian's smile when she left him notes of encouragement. The way he defended her at the gala, the kiss in the moonlit garden. You're wrong, Amelia said firmly. Julian doesn't need someone perfect. He needs someone real. Someone who sees him, not just his success. And that's something you never understood. She pulled out her phone. I'm going to give you one chance. Withdraw from the merger talks. Leave Julian and his company alone. If you do that, I won't show him the evidence." Vanessa laughed. "You're bluffing. You would never hide something from Julian. You're too honest, too naive. You're right. I wouldn't hide it." Amelia pressed a button on her phone, which is why he's been listening to this entire conversation. The color drained from Vanessa's face as Julian's voice came through the speaker. "I've heard enough, Amelia." "Thank you," Amelia had called him before entering the building, leaving the line open. Every word Vanessa said had been recorded. "You set me up," Vanessa whispered. "I gave you a chance to walk away," Amelia corrected. "You chose to show your true colors instead." The door to Vanessa's office opened. Julian walked in, followed by two people Amelia recognized as his lawyers. His face was calm, but his eyes were steel. "Vanessa Sterling," one of the lawyers said, "we're filing charges for corporate espionage and attempted fraud. We have sufficient evidence for both criminal and civil proceedings." Vanessa's composure shattered completely. "Julian, please, we can work this out. I made mistakes, but we had something real once." "We had lies," Julian said coldly, "and now you'll face the consequences." He turned to Amelia. "Let's go." In the elevator, Amelia finally released the breath she had been holding. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you immediately. I thought if I could get her to confess." Julian pulled her into his arms. "You were brilliant. Brave and terrifying and absolutely brilliant. Though please never put yourself in danger like that again." "She was right about one thing," Amelia said quietly. "I am naive. I'm not sophisticated or polished. I don't know your world. Stop." Julian tilted her chin up. "She was wrong about everything. You're not naive. You're genuine. You're not unsophisticated. You're real. And my world is better because you're in it." They rode back to Blackwood Industries in silence, hands intertwined. When they arrived, the entire office was buzzing with rumors. Rebecca smiled knowingly as they passed her desk. Julian called an emergency meeting with his board of directors. With his lawyers present, he explained Vanessa's attempted sabotage and the evidence they had gathered. The board was shocked but impressed by how quickly the situation had been handled. Then Julian dropped another bomb. "I'm also announcing my relationship with Amelia Wright. If any board member has an objection to me dating my secretary, speak now." One older board member, Harrison Grant, cleared his throat. "With all due respect, Julian, this could be seen as inappropriate. There are power dynamics to consider." "You're absolutely right," Julian agreed. "Which is why I'm offering Amelia a different position. Director of Operations. Equal salary to other directors, reporting directly to the board instead of to me. She's more than earned it with her work these past weeks." The board members looked at Amelia with new interest. Another member, Patricia Chen, smiled. "I've seen the organizational improvements since Miss Wright started. The scheduling efficiency alone has increased productivity by 15%. I vote yes." One by one, the board members voted to approve both Amelia's new position and her relationship with Julian. Only Harrison abstained, but he didn't vote against it. After the meeting, Amelia was stunned. "Julian, you didn't have to do that. I was fine being your secretary. But I wasn't fine with the power imbalance. I want us to be equals, Amelia, in work and in life." 3 months later, Amelia had proven herself invaluable in her new role. She had revolutionized several company processes and earned the respect of every department. Vanessa had been convicted of corporate espionage and was serving time in a minimum security facility. Her company had collapsed without her. One evening, Julian asked Amelia to meet him in his office after everyone had left. When she arrived, the room was filled with candles, and soft music played from hidden speakers. "What's all this?" she asked, smiling. Julian took her hand and led her to the spot where she had spilled coffee on him that first day. "This is where it all started, where you stumbled into my life and changed everything. I was so lonely before you, Amelia. I had success and money, but no joy. You brought light back into my world." He knelt down on one knee, pulling out a small velvet box. "I know it's only been a few months. I know some people will say it's too fast. But when you know, you know. Amelia Wright, will you marry me?" Amelia's eyes filled with tears. Yes, 1,000 times yes. The ring was perfect, a simple emerald surrounded by diamonds. Julian slipped it onto her finger and kissed her deeply. 6 months later, they were married in an intimate ceremony at the same mansion where they had shared their first kiss. Sophie, now thriving in medical school, was Amelia's maid of honor. Rebecca cried through the entire ceremony. Even Harrison Grant attended and admitted he had been wrong to doubt their relationship. Amelia wore a gown that rivaled anything Vanessa had ever owned. But she would have been just as happy in her simple navy dress, because she had learned that love wasn't about money or status or perfection. It was about finding someone who saw you completely and loved you anyway. Julian had found that in Amelia, the clumsy secretary who spilled coffee and spoke her mind and refused to give up. The woman who saw past his walls to the lonely man inside, as they danced at their reception. Julian whispered in her ear, "Thank you for being brave enough to take that job." Amelia smiled. "Thank you for being patient enough not to fire me on day one. Best decision I ever made." 1 year later, Blackwood Industries celebrated its most profitable year ever. Amelia had been promoted to vice president, and she and Julian worked side by side as true partners. They had started a mentorship program for young professionals from underprivileged backgrounds, giving others the opportunities Amelia had fought so hard to earn. On the anniversary of Amelia's first day, Julian gathered the entire company for an announcement. 1 year ago, a remarkable woman walked into this building desperate for a job. She spilled coffee on me, challenged my authority, and completely transformed my life. Today, I'm proud to announce that Amelia and I are expecting our first child. The office erupted in cheers. Rebecca was crying again. Sophie, visiting from medical school, hugged her sister tightly. That evening, as they sat in Julian's office overlooking the city lights, Amelia rested her head on his shoulder. "Can you believe where we started?" "Sometimes I can't," Julian admitted, "but I'm grateful for every moment. Even the coffee incident." Amelia laughed. "Especially the coffee incident. It broke the ice. It broke expensive contracts. And your cold exterior." Julian kissed her forehead. "You're impossible, and you love me anyway." "Always," he promised. "Always." Outside the window, the city sparkled with possibility. Inside, two people who had found each other against all odds held each other close. The impossible boss and the clumsy secretary, who became so much more. Their story had begun with spilled coffee and impossible standards. It had survived betrayal, doubt, and society's judgment. And it would continue day by day, building a life filled with love, partnership, and the kind of happiness that comes from choosing each other every single day. Amelia had come too. Blackwood Industries desperate and afraid. She left each day as Mrs. Blackwood, confident and cherished. She had proven that sometimes the best love stories start with the worst first impressions. That real love sees past wealth and status to the person underneath. And that being brave enough to take a chance can change your entire world. The last secretary standing had won not just the job, but the heart of the man everyone said was impossible to reach. And together, they built something far more valuable than any company could ever be. They built a home, family, and a love that would last a lifetime. Thank you for taking that time to listen to this story. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to click like. Share this story with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more meaningful stories.